What's up, friends? I thought, why not record a video today? I didn't really want to get into it, but hey, was it staged? I don't know. Are we really in a time that's really wild and crazy? Some would probably say yes. Got a couple questions for you, though. In history, we're often shown something to create a narrative to drive the conversation or perspective one way or another. I'm not here to question whether or not was that staged or not. I'm here to ask the question, what are you doing? What are you paying attention to? What's being over sensationalized in your mind to draw you away from something else that's going on? What about our two-party system is keeping your mind focused as thinking or as if you are limited to just those two options? There's the third party option. There's Jill. And I'm not saying you should vote for Jill, Biden, or Trump. It's really your choice. But I am here to continue to disrupt and hope that you will start to think for yourself. Too often in our country, we get sensationalized or over sensationalized to control the narrative of what we're supposed to believe and therefore how we act. There are a number of circumstances where we've been deceived and we find out 40 years later, yo, that was a lie. That was a joke. CIA did this. That person did that. And I won't spend any time right now trying to go down that list. But they are there. Just go look. What I'm more interested in is what is in your mind right now? What are you thinking about what happened to Trump? Are you angry and upset and fighting for your political party and saying, it's the Dems, they're always that way, which isn't a true reflection at all? Or are you going, he deserved it? Or are you like, it? What conversation are you wrapped up in your head right now that's preventing you from choosing your thoughts carefully and or even asking questions that make logical sense? We've been so dumbed down, and I'm not insulting you. I'm saying we've been so dumbed down because we've not been taught the skill of thinking that we believe anything that shows up in front of our eyes. And I'm guilty too. There's so many things in my life that I saw it. I'm like, because I saw it, it's true. Do you realize that most of what you see here isn't true? It's just what you see. It's either the perspective or the angle you have, because if you were sitting at this angle, you would see it differently. If you were behind it, you would see it another way. If you had money invested in it, you would see it a different way. If you were a leader who was thinking long term, you would see it a different way. If it was right in front of you, you would see it a completely different way. What are you thinking right now? What's going on in your head? More importantly, where are those thoughts coming from? I had a conversation with my father this morning. I was thinking about some of my entrepreneurial things, and I had some of those thoughts. You know, those thoughts where I tried this before and it didn't work. So why do you think it's going to work now? You know, those doubting thoughts, those thoughts that make me feel fear. Well, when those thoughts come, I'll get back to my father in a minute. What happens? Am I going to follow that thought? Because if I follow that thought, what's going to happen to the efforts that I've put in? I'm likely going to back away, cease them, lose a day, lose a week, go look for some way to nullify, to coat the emptiness, the sorrow, the depression of just grabbing hold of that thought. It's going to redirect my entire course because I grabbed a hold of that thought. Or what if that thought comes, now bringing in the conversation with my father, who reminded me that when thoughts come, it doesn't make them your thoughts. They're just thoughts. Thoughts passing in the ether. Because there's always thoughts in the ether. Ether meaning like the atmosphere, right? The spiritual realm, the atmosphere. Just because a thought enters your mind doesn't make it your thought. It can exit right out. It's just waiting to see, are you going to grab a hold of it or not? And so many times in our culture, we grab whatever thought is, boom, sensationalized in us, releases dopamine in our brain. And now, depending on what angle you're at, you're reacting from that thought. But the real most interesting thing is this. Where did the thought come from? You see, in our culture, we've done a great job of taking people who've not been taught to actually think, not remember, not memorize, actually think. We've been taught to not think for ourselves. And as a result of that, we've fallen for whatever has been put in front of us. And we take these sides. I'm this, I'm that. You guys are this, you guys are that. That's my team, your team sucks. And we do irrational things that make zero sense when it all calms down. I just want to ask you today, what are you doing based on what you're thinking? I want to challenge you. Let it go. What would happen if the thought you have that you think is true about what happened around Trump or any other situation in your life right now, what if you realized it really wasn't your thought in the first place? And if you chose to let it go, what possibilities would exist? Slow it down. Think about it. I mean, let's take that situation. How did a 20-year-old find a way onto a building that was somehow secluded and the CIA or the Secret Service not think to check that? I don't want to go down that path. I'm just saying, if we take the time to think, we might start asking questions that can open us up to think broader, bigger, and see what's being thrown out there as a thought to play how we live our life. This is Marquise. The more you think, the better we all get. The more we realize we have more in common, and the more we actually collaborate and we stop the trauma that's been ruling us and separating us for eons. Peace.